He grew up where the soil meets the sunrise, on a family farm in Georgia that he transformed from weedy fields to green pastures. Zippy Duvall, farmer, father, leader, and the kind of guy you'd want to go fishing with or maybe ride with in a covered wagon with his wife Jennifer. From working in the hayfields to checking cattle with his farm dog Ziggy, he's a third-generation farmer who knows a thing or two about long days and early mornings. As president of the American Farm Bureau Federation, he carries that same grit, purpose, and determination into advocating for America's farmers and ranchers, a powerful force in D.C., yet also a quiet voice of encouragement, sharing his own struggles to advance mental health awareness. And always, the first to say Farm Bureau has transformed his life. An organization honored to serve the people who feed the nation, and a leader humbled by his role. Please give a warm welcome to your AFBF president, your advocate, and your fellow farmer, Zippy Duvall.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Anaheim, California. I hope all of you are enjoying your time here in Southern California. It truly is beautiful. But when Jennifer and I took a little walk the other day, it was right at sunset, and we had the opportunity to see the amazing sight of God's glory here. It truly is beautiful. And everybody here in California is so friendly. While we're out there taking that walk, someone came up to me and asked me for my autograph. I was surprised that a stranger would want the autograph of a simple farmer from Georgia. And I laughed and signed his paper, and he said, "Thank you, Mr. DeVito. I enjoyed you in Texas." You know, short, bald, and muscular. Truly, I am grateful to be here with you at the American Farm Bureau Convention. You know, I love the Farm Bureau family. And speaking of family, I want to ask Jennifer, my wife, and my daughter Zelly to stand up. And I want to thank you for your love and support and being here with me today. And I'm grateful to all of you, our Farm Bureau family, for being here too. Now, we have faced some tough times across agriculture this year, and there's no sugarcoating that. It's real, and I know that it has been difficult for many people. But every farmer has a seed of optimism that we plant to look forward to the future. And we make it from one season to the next because of optimism is part of our DNA. That's why I love the theme of our convention this year. Imagine, grow, and lead. It captures what we do across agriculture and across Farm Bureau. Imagination helps us to envision what is possible for our families, our farms, and our communities. Imagination has brought some incredible innovations to agriculture. Some smart farm equipment that helps us be more precise, to better treatments to help us fight disease in our crops and our livestock. And we need to keep imagining to drive forward. If we're going to be ready for the challenges of tomorrow, we need the brightest minds and the hardest working workers finding solutions today. That's why I feel so strongly about empowering young leaders in agriculture. Now, last year, y'all might recall that I shined a spotlight on our county presidents because they're so important to our organization. But this year, I'd like to encourage and celebrate our young leaders. Thank you for making agriculture in your communities a priority in your life. You may be just starting out on your leadership journey in one of the youth or professional development programs. But wherever you're at in that journey, I want you to know that the Farm Bureau family is here for you, cheering you on. I challenge you to unleash your imagination here, today. Imagine how you can make your community better. Imagine your next steps on your leadership journey. And I hope that you take full advantage of your time here at this convention and meet others, leaders, and learn how the Farm Bureau family is growing and giving back. Our trade show floor is full of examples of innovative programs and businesses that are helping us shape agriculture for the future. I hope that every session you attend, every booth that you visit, and every conversation you have sparks your imagination about the future of agriculture and the role that you can play in getting us there. Imagination isn't just for the young either. When we stop imagining, we stop growing. So to the young at heart, let us imagine what we can achieve together. I'll admit, it's hard to imagine the possibilities, and it's not easy when you're facing real challenges. Some of you may be imagining how that you're going to get through the tough economy. As farmers, we know that if we can get past the tough times, we can grow back stronger. Take pruning season, for example. I know that I have a lot of fruit farmers here, and I know that this is the time of year when you're trimming back those branches. Those trees and vineyards can look pretty bleak right now, but you prune and make room for new growth because you can just imagine how much more fruitful those trees and vines will be in just a few months. I know times are tough for many of you, and sometimes you can barely see beyond today. So how can we all imagine ways to help all farmers thrive? We can start with our families and our communities. See, a healthy farm starts with a healthy you. That's why Farm Bureau has been a leader bringing resources to farmers and rural communities. Through our Farm State of Mind, we are now leading an alliance across agriculture to ensure that every farmer can get the help he or she needs. And it is working and saving lives. When Steve Breeding faced heartbreak loss on his farm, he felt hopeless. But his Farm Bureau family showed up and reminded him that he was not alone. Let's take a look.
I was kind of known as the sheep guy around here. The fire went from north to south, and it blew that way, and it went straight down the house. Lost all of our sheep literally a week before we start lambing. And I was really in a bad place. There were plenty of people within Farm Bureau that said, hey, we're here to help. You do it on your own terms, but just know that we're here. Being the county Farm Bureau president, I had one of my members call and say, hey, are we having a meeting or not? And I said, no, if you guys want to have your meeting, but I'm not going to be there. He said, if we're going to have a meeting, we're going to be out there and help you clean up. He said, you need help. And it wasn't even about the physical help. It was more about being able to call somebody, not being able to sleep and send a text message, hey, are you awake? Can we talk? I happened to notice this Farm State of Mind piece of paper, and I picked up my cell phone and I made a phone call, and that was the best phone call in my life. I'm glad that I'm still here, so don't do something permanent over a temporary situation. We all need a little bit of help. If you take nothing else from my story, don't be ashamed of it. Just please go ask for help.
Steve, would you stand and let us thank you for sharing your story? Now, it took a lot of courage for Steve to share his story. But Steve, I'm confident that you're going to make a difference in a lot of people's lives. Thank God. Thank God for you. Remember, I want all of you to remember, it's okay not to be okay. But it is not okay not to talk about it. When tough times come, we must remember that we can always come back stronger. Farmers and Farm Bureau have survived the years, the decades, and the centuries thanks to the imagination and innovation of men and women just like you in this room. Can you imagine what is next on the horizon for your farm and for agriculture? What an opportunity we have to imagine the possibilities and grow a brighter future. With growth, comes responsibility to set an example to lead. It's important that every farmer take his seat at the table in Farm Bureau. That is why we must develop young leaders and give them the tools and opportunities that they need. Getting involved was one of the best decisions that I made as a young farmer. And I could not have imagined the growth that I was going to experience as a farmer and as a leader. If we're going to ensure our farms and our federation can continue to grow in the future, we need to invest in tomorrow's leaders today. Farm Bureau leadership development programs are just doing that, growing leaders and strong advocates for agriculture. Our Wife and Our program is giving young and beginning farmers a place to grow, learning from their peers, and leading agriculture forward. Our Women's Leadership Committee is expanding their advocacy training for our women leaders, who make up more than 36% of today's farmers and ranchers. And the Women's Leadership Committee has some exciting plans to recognize the International Year of the Woman Farmer. Our Promotion and Engagement Committee, now more than a decade old, is blasting through barriers in places like New York City and across our country with consumers. That work is so important, especially with an increased interest in food ingredients and how food is grown. The rise of the MAHA, or Make America Healthy movement, presents an opportunity and a real mandate to engage with the administration and lawmakers and consumers. We all want to see a healthier outcomes for our families and our communities, but we need leaders that make decisions that are grounded in science. At Farm Bureau, it's our responsibility to explain what farmers are doing every day to grow safe, healthy food supply, and boy, did we go to work. We went into overdrive to tell the story of our farmers across the country are doing this amazing work to produce safe food and care for our land. Now, the buzzword used to be sustainability. Now it's regenerative agriculture. Regenerative, sustainable. They're just words that describe practices that many of our farmers have been using for decades to grow more with less and protect our soil. Conservation efforts are a continuous journey, and that journey looks different depending upon the region, the soil type, or the crop. But one thing remains the same, and that's our commitment to the land. Farmers like Ryan Brett from Missouri are a great example of that. Let's see what Ryan's doing on his farm.
Most farmers often say we want to leave it better than we found it. Our focus on regenerative ag has included focus on soil health, diversity, and then just improving our management and the land in general. We're setting that land up so that the next generation has a better chance than we did. What's important about regenerative is everybody's steps are a little different. We have to be careful and not expect things to work on our operation just because they work on somebody else's operation. Our farm is more regenerative today than it was when it was a smaller farm. We do use pesticides when necessary, but we use them in a responsible way that has been proven through science. And I think it's important that my family has trust in the food, just like most families tend to wonder exactly where it comes from. What we're looking for is how do we improve the land over the long term. We have to make sure that we are concerned about our kids and the next generation and maybe even the generation after that. The decisions we make today have to fit that journey.
Ryan's here with us today. Let's congratulate him. Thank you, Ryan. Now, our hats are off to everyone that's committed in doing the right thing by their land while we feed America. As your American Farm Bureau leads the way engaging in MAHA, we also brought agriculture together in a campaign called Growing a Healthier America. Together, we are growing a better understanding of agriculture, every conversation, every engagement, bridges the gap from stories on social media to meetings in your state house and even in the White House. See, we believe it's critical for consumers and lawmakers to hear straight from you, our farmers. In fact, we brought farmer members to the White House to share their stories about what modern agriculture and farming looks like. And we were told it was one of the most impactful of a long line of meetings on MAHA. Because of our approach, we saw a real shift between the first MAHA Commission report and the second one. Now, that didn't just happen. It took strategic engagement. And that is how we make a difference. This year, we also brought our State Farm Bureau presidents, our National Committee chairs, to the White House to engage with cabinet members. That's the first time the entire Farm Bureau leadership group had been invited to the White House to speak to the most influential people in the world. In the same week, I had the opportunity to sit in the Oval Office and visit with the President of the United States. What a week for Farm Bureau that was. I was humbled to be there and speak for you as your American Farm Bureau president. And let me tell you, I was very frank with President Trump about the challenges that we're facing. I made it clear that Farm Bureau's policy supports trade, not tariffs. And I shared that our farmers are ready to reach more markets with American-grown products anywhere in the world. Thank you for entrusting me to be your voice. Thank you. Now, it takes working together across the Federation to have this kind of influence, and it takes years of leadership development and advocacy training to be ready for those opportunities. Your Farm Bureau leaders, they were trained and ready to answer the call. I can't tell you how valuable that was to all of agriculture. As we stand up and speak up for our farms and ranches, it's important. No two ways about it. Farm Bureau is a leader in our nation's capital. Now, I'm proud of our team at American Farm Bureau and our outsized footprint in Washington, D.C. And when we lead by example, we make a real difference for our farms and our rural communities. Last year, we advocated for the renewal of critical tax provisions for our farms and our ranch businesses. Without these provisions, farm families would have seen an increase of 9 to 20% in their tax bills. We also saw a big win with the estate tax that exempts most farm families. This will help us pass our farms on to the next generation. Yes, I agree. Farm Bureau has also been a leader advocating for a new modernized farm bill. While Congress keeps kicking the can down the road, we keep the pressure on to ensure that farmers and ranchers have the support they need to stay afloat. Now, we advocated for long overdue changes in our risk management programs, and Congress delivered that through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It was a historic investment of nearly $70 billion to modernize the farm programs that we depend on. Now, we still need a new farm bill, and we will keep holding Congress accountable to deliver that and other critical support for agriculture. Now, with the toughest economy that we've seen in a generation, we know that our leaders need to hear straight from us about the relief that we need in the short and long term. We sent a letter to Congress and to the President outlining these needs, including a short-term bridge payment. Last month, President Trump announced a $12 billion bridge program to help our farm families hang on. Now, we are very, very appreciative of that support. It is definitely needed in farm country, but the losses are much deeper than that. More support is still needed to cover the tens of billions of dollars of losses over the last couple of years. We also know that the $1 billion for specialty crop isn't nearly enough in that area. We will continue to work with Congress to bring relief that you need. Now, we also made it clear what long-term action they could take to help our families survive through this season and grow into the next. One clear opportunity we addressed with the White House is making E15 available year-round. This would expand the market for farmers and deliver real cost savings to consumers at the pump. It's a clear win-win for all of us and the consumer. Additionally to that, we call for new trade agreements. We also want them to purchase U.S. foods for when we're feeding our military and our school children. We also call for whole milk to be served in our schools, and Congress has already passed that. See, this is our job as the voice in Washington, to bring solutions to the table. Now, we had a big win for agriculture with the new Waters of the U.S. rule, the WOTUS rule. Farm Bureau has been a leading advocate for a rule that protects critical water sources while respecting our farmers' conservation efforts. Thanks to your hard work and the strength of our federation, we now have clear rules for clean water. We've seen some positive movement on the labor front too. Every time I meet with a leader or a lawmaker, I remind them that the number one crisis facing farmers across the country is the lack of labor. We've achieved changes in the H-2A wage rate, and this brought much needed relief to many farmers who were facing skyrocketing wage mandates. And we don't take these steps for granted. Those are hard-fought victories, and those victories are your victories too. But we still have our eyes on the goal, and that's agricultural labor reform that works for all types, all sizes of farms in every state. Now, effective advocacy takes leadership in speaking up for what matters. It takes finding common ground and working together to find solutions. I'm so proud of our Farm Bureau leadership when they're on their journey and they take that next step and at the next level to run for public office. See, American Farm Bureau is at their side providing nonpartisan training and resources to help more farmers and ranchers and rural Americans serve in public office. We call it campaign school, and thousands of candidates running for local, state, and congressional offices have come through that training. The result over the last 4 decades speaks for itself. An average of 84% of those graduates have been elected. 84%. That's really impressive and amazing. That is also proof that no matter where you're at on your leadership journey, Farm Bureau has something for you. And to our young leaders in the room, what can you do today to make your community and our country a better place? After my late wife Bonnie and I won the Young Farmer and Rancher Award in 1982, we came back to our county in Greene County, Georgia, inspired. See, we wanted Greene County to be the best Farm Bureau county in the state. You see, leaders don't just sit back and wait and be called on. And yes, sometimes you might get tapped on the shoulder and asked to serve. But we need leaders who imagine how we can be better and look for ways to grow. We need leaders who will raise their hand up and say, "Here I am, Coach, put me in." That's just what Stuart Beam and Sophia Lilly did when Hurricane Helene hit their home state of North Carolina. Let's look at what they did.
Stuart and I hadn't got connected since the flooding started, and I asked him, what can we do? And that's when he said, I have the capacity to bottle this water and get this done. And I said, well, I have the capacity to raise the money.
We're bottling it here, we're putting it on our trucks, and we're going straight to the emergency areas with it.
People that I haven't spoke to in 3 or 4 years are calling me, asking me, what can I do? Where can I send money?
We've got a community of support. My partner, he's been in there all day.
I'm having to deliver snacks just so they eat.
There's people in there that don't know their names, meeting of the night for the first time. We had to shut the plant down last night to get people to go home. If it was not for the people over there doing the physical work right now, none of this would happen either. We can put the pieces of the puzzle together, but they're making it happen. It's also inspiring. This is possible in every rural town in North Carolina when the need arises.
Farm Bureau members need to remember more than anything, these people that you see one time at annual convention. Remember these connections, because if it wasn't for every person that Stuart and I knew and had in our phone book, none of this would be happening. We wouldn't be able to do it without all of you guys, so thank you.
They're here with us today. Let's congratulate them. Stuart and Sophia, will you stand up and let us recognize you? Woo! I'm so moved by your selfless effort. And all across Farm Bureau, I see stories just like this. And I'm proud that that kind of service is just who we are. But that doesn't mean it's easy. Leaders understand that there are costs and sacrifices when it comes to serving. Leadership will take all you can give it and then some. It's something that you don't take on for yourself. Leaders are driven to help serve others. We believe in our hearts that giving it all will make a difference. Maybe not today, maybe not next week or next year, but how we lead today matters. Leaders step out on faith, trusting that every step will help carry us forward. Now, I'm reminded of a scripture in Isaiah, and it says, He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, He increases strength. Now, you might be feeling faint some days, but you are not alone. You are surrounded by a Farm Bureau family who believes in you and loves you. Can you imagine what we can achieve together? Can you imagine a better time to start than today? We stand ready to work with you and to achieve great things for our communities and for our country. That message in Isaiah goes on to say, but they who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. Farm Bureau family, we can run and we can soar. And when we imagine, grow, and lead together, we are a powerful force of good. Thank y'all, and God bless you. God bless the American farmer. Thank y'all.